Launched in 2014, Operation Barkhane is France's largest overseas military mission. Deployed across a region as large as Europe, 3,200 kilometers long by 1,100 kilometers wide. France works alongside the G5 Sahel, an organization set up by Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, and Chad to counter terrorism in the region. In recent years, the Sahel's three-border area has become an insurgent hotspot. Of the 5,100 French soldiers deployed on Operation Barkhane, 300 are women. Making up 15% of all active personnel, these women are part of one of the most gender-diverse armies in the world. Our crew spent a month embedded with 4 extraordinary women on their high-risk mission in one of the world's most dangerous conflict zones. Experience Operation Barkhane from the inside alongside 4 women soldiers. Discover what their work involves and join them in the fight against terror. This is their very first time overseas. Sergeant Pauline is a young Air Force firefighter.
Chalumeau 2 to Chalumeau leader.
At the air base in Niamey, Niger's capital, she's in charge of a fire truck and its 4-person crew.
Have you located the site?
The 24-year-old sergeant leads her crew day in, day out and asserts herself as a true team leader.
It's a whole other job. Things are getting kind of heated on this op.
Age 29, Julia is on her first overseas operation as a co-pilot of the legendary C-135 tanker aircraft. Her mission today is to refuel 2 fighter jets mid-air.
We women pilots are in a minority for sure. There are so many obstacles and challenges along the way.
A nurse and young mom, Marion joined the Army Medical Corps 8 years ago. Her specialty is tactical or combat medicine. But can she get her colleagues out of a tight spot on the ground?
It changes their attitude and makes them realize we're just as capable as they are of being soldiers.
A graduate of Saint-Cyr Military Academy, Anne-Marie specializes in Tiger and Gazelle helicopter maintenance. She heads up a team of 30 flight technicians at the base in Gao, Mali.
It's a constant challenge.
A complex repair gives her a hard time.
There aren't many girls. It's really interesting to see what we're capable of achieving.
Watch out, there's some guys opposite. Hands up!
On the ground and in the air, experience the grueling and unusual life of Operation Barkhane's troops.
Request show of force. Show of force in progress.
Two days later, at the operational base in Gao, Mali, a major mission is about to get underway.
The circumstances of this mission are unusual. Our task is to resupply Menaka. Special thing about this convoy, it's extremely long, with 118 vehicles in all.
4 a.m. Captain Vincent Georges reviews procedures with his personnel before the convoy moves out. Its mission is to provide support to troops on the ground.
You're all aware of the political situation in Mali. It's unstable. As you well know, our area is the zone of the JNIM, the support group for Islam and Muslims. And it's in a position of strength.
The convoy of 120 vehicles, including 60 civilian trucks, will soon move out. A huge logistical and human endeavor. 1,000 kilometers across hostile terrain from Gao to Menaka and back. 500 there, 500 home. To avoid enemy attacks, the troops must be on constant lookout and travel as fast as possible.
It's going to be a hazardous mission. The terrorists can regroup real fast. They have pickups and motorbikes, and will plant a landmine for us if ever there's a weak link in our defense.
An extremely dangerous route through areas patrolled by jihadist terror groups. The vehicles could hit a landmine at any time and be blown sky high. Escort vehicles and mine-clearing personnel travel ahead of the convoy to secure the route. But this mission does not only involve land vehicles, it relies on aircraft too. 5:47 a.m. The C-135 tanker's crew arrives on the tarmac. The C-135 is a legendary plane, the doyen of the French Air Force. It is clocked up over 36,000 flight hours. It has been deployed in every overseas operation, from Kosovo and Afghanistan to Libya, Syria, and Chad. And now Niger and Mali as part of Operation Barkhane.
Tell me when you're ready for the test.
29-year-old Julia, the co-pilot, fires up the 4 jet engines.
I'll switch that to black. Just a second.
In the cockpit, which dates from 1964, hardly anything has changed. Under the 17-meter-long wing, the pilot gives the landing gear the once-over.
Okay for the tests, 530, 158.
Each of the aircraft's command lines is checked using technical jargon, which holds no secrets for Julia.
15, 220.
The crew consists of the captain, the co-pilot, the navigator, and the refueling operator.
NG.
The 4 engines are running.
Okay, roger. Take off. Thrust.
At the controls of this gas station in the sky, Julia is tasked with refueling the fighter jets.
Stops.
3rd.
With 70 tons of fuel, the equivalent of 1,400 car gas tanks, the C-135 takes slowly to the skies. Transporting so much kerosene is risky business and requires constant vigilance. In the event of a problem, the tanker could become a flying bomb.
Flying is a real pleasure. I'm proud to follow in the footsteps of all those who have flown the C-135. It's gratifying to think I've learned on such a legendary plane you really have to pilot. And the rustic nature of it has been a really enriching experience. It isn't a sterile environment. As you gain experience on this plane, you start to get a feeling for how it lives, its smells, its noises. You notice when a noise doesn't sound normal, when there's a slightly strange smell. You develop this special sense. You don't have that with newer generations of aircraft.
10,000 meters below, the convoy makes its way toward Manaka. The fighter jets are deployed to provide close air support to the convoy. They are standing by to intervene in the particularly dangerous areas the 120 vehicles will travel through. It's their job to secure the convoy route, intimidate enemy forces, and attack. But for all this, they need to be refueled in the air, and that's where the C-135 flown by Julia comes in.
My job is to stay focused, even if nothing much is going on. Something could happen at any moment, requiring me to be really reactive. If the fighters call us back because they're faced with a tricky situation down below, I need to be able to make the right decision instantly, if something were to happen.
The C-135 and the 2 fighter jets have just fixed a meeting point in the sky. The tanker starts to circle the Mirage's action area to stay close as possible to them. Julia is 100% focused on her task. The aerial refueling is about to commence. It takes place in the air because the fighter jets cannot risk or waste time landing. It is a complex, precision operation. Julia and her colleagues cannot afford to make mistakes. The navigator checks the weather and the radars. The boomer, as the operator is nicknamed, guides the fighters as they approach the tanker. He waits for the 2 Mirage 2000Ds to appear on the screens.
We decided in advance where we'd meet up. Our tanker serves as a marker. There is a needle that indicates our position and our distance to them.
The 2 fighter jets are in sight. For refueling, the pilots must decelerate from 1,800 kilometers per hour to just 500 kilometers per hour. And they have to maintain this speed for several minutes. Aerial refueling is a very dangerous operation. Off-center engagements can cause major accidents, endangering both the C-135 and the jet fighters. The fighter pilots must maneuver very precisely to fly their probes into the refueling basket, which is just 50 centimeters wide.
At 600 kilometers per hour, the margin is 6 kilometers per hour. In other words, I can't be at more than 6 kilometers per hour when flying into the basket, which is connected to the tanker. If I'm traveling faster, I could cause significant damage. It's one of the most dangerous things we do when refueling. It's a very risky and highly technical operation.
The boomer guides the Mirages over the last few meters, a very perilous exercise.
Approaching 2 meters, 1 meter, entering, contact. Here goes for 2.7 tons. Stop.
The weather conditions are not always as calm as today. Stabilizing a fighter jet in high winds is an extremely complicated maneuver.
During refueling, I'm the person at the controls. I keep my hand on the thrustmaster, ready to initiate an emergency separation at any moment. I'm responsible for both the tanker and the fighters.
Due to its own fuel requirements, the C-135 can refuel 3 or 4 aircraft per sortie.
We supply fuel to the fighters from the tank at the front of the fuselage or from the rear tank. And this, of course, affects the aircraft's center of gravity.
It only takes a few minutes to deliver 10 tons of kerosene to the fighters, enough to continue their convoy surveillance mission. Mission accomplished for Julia. Today's first refueling sortie was a success. There are 3 to go. Meanwhile, on the ground, the intelligence unit has alerted the troops to the presence of suspicious movements. It's a potential security threat. Urgent action is required. Throughout the mission, the convoy receives air support from the patrolling Mirage 2000s, as well as from attack helicopters and armed drones. In the middle of the convoy, in an armored vehicle, is Sergeant Hugues. He's a JTAC, or Joint Terminal Attack Controller. The JTAC is the link between the air and the ground. His role is to coordinate close air support for the convoy. He's the pilot's ears and eyes.
Mirage 13, control tower, in-flight mission change. You are retasked on a new position for air support on JTAC 15.
Mirage 13, message received.
On the ground, the convoy proceeds, but tension is running high. Suspicious vehicles have been spotted. They are dangerously close to the convoy. The Army decides to request protection from 2 Mirage 2000Ds.
Mirage 13, control tower, in-flight mission change. You are retasked on a new position for air support on JTAC 15.
Mirage 13, message received. Mirage 13, do you visually confirm my position? Mirage 13 to JTAC 15, confirm a convoy of armored vehicles heading north. Mirage 13, good visual. Roger. See the ground movement northeast of my position at 1,500 meters? Visual. At the top, roadside, 2 individual. Visual. Mirage 13, good visual on 2 individuals.
To dissuade the enemy from attacking the convoy, the JTAC requests a show of force. It is a warning, a scare tactic. The Mirages must fly very low over the suspicious vehicles.
JTAC 15 requests show of force on the 2 individuals for verification. Show of force in progress. Good effect. The 2 individuals are fleeing eastwards. Mission accomplished.
The convoy can continue on its way without stopping. If this scare tactic does not deter the enemy, the order to neutralize the target may be given, and the fighters will strike. On Operation Barkhane, the fighters averaged 30 sorties per week. In the air, co-pilot Julia reviews the C-135's refueling mission. The two fighters were supplied with 60 tons of fuel in all. There's enough for the tanker to get back to base.
It's my first overseas tour. I see this overseas op as an achievement. You realize you're a vital part of a chain, and that things wouldn't necessarily function without you. An overseas operation is 100% professional. The distinction between your personal life and work life disappears. You're on the go 24/7 without a break. You can get a call at any time, do one sortie after another. You fly again in the afternoon, the following morning. You never know what tomorrow will bring. You're always prepared for something to happen at any moment.
In 2019, the tankers clocked up 1,900 flight hours and supplied 58,000 tons of fuel. The final phase of the mission, landing, and Julia is at the controls. At the base in Niamey, the alarm is sounded. Julia's C-135 is making its approach. The firefighters have to secure the landing zone. 24-year-old Air Force firefighter Pauline is in the starting blocks.
Chalumeau 2 to Chalumeau Leader, we're heading to the parking bay.
At Niamey Air Base, 30 Air Force firefighters are on alert 24/7.
Fire is really our enemy. If anything were to happen as we were landing, the firefighters would take care of it. They always look out for us. If there's the slightest incident, they come to our assistance.
Chalumeau 2 to Foxy. Foxy, we're at the GTO bay.
Roger, Chalumeau 2.
I'm here as an Air Force firefighter. This is my first overseas operation. I couldn't wait to come out. I knew I was going to see different things and get to know different environments, different people, and engage with other nations. So it's great for us to be here. It's awesome.
As the tanker makes its approach, co-pilot Julia is 100% focused. And with a cool head, she lands the 41-meter-long C-135 on the tarmac. Everything seems fine, but Air Force firefighter Pauline saw some light smoke coming from the right side landing gear for a few seconds. No fire is visible, but a safety check must be carried out.
Standing by for a C-135, home from mission, 5 people on board.
Julia cuts the engines.
Chalumeau 3 to Chalumeau Leader, on our way.
Okay, Chalumeau 3.
Pauline and her crew have to act fast.
The brakes can occasionally overheat and catch fire. It's just the kind of incident that requires the intervention of firefighters to prevent the aircraft catching fire and things going badly for us.
Measure the temperature of the landing gear for me, okay? How much?
It's 68, 71, 81.
Okay, we'll wait 5 minutes.
It's just landed, so the temperature isn't excessive. But we're going to protect it by cooling it with water, just in case.
Each fire truck holds up to 9,500 liters of water to be ready to extinguish any fire both at takeoff or landing. At the same moment, the 2 Mirages refueled by Julia's tanker return from their latest mission. The firefighters go back to the landing strip to drop off the armament technicians tasked with inspecting the 2 aircraft. As soon as the Mirages land, the technicians must conduct a thorough inspection and make sure the bombs under the fighters' wings are still firmly attached. No operation can be carried out on the runway without the firefighters present. The fighters return to the hangar for a 3-hour-long technical inspection before their next sortie. Night falls quickly in Niamey. It is 8 p.m. when the fire alarm rings. Pauline's crew is called to respond.
We've got a tent fire at the camp. In the living area.
Fire truck to fire command post. Heading to tent fire and living area.
A fire has broken out in one of the camp's tents. Soldiers could be in danger.
It's the second tent on the left, okay?
Okay.
Are you the witness?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
We saw smoke coming out of the second tent on the other side. It's empty. Everyone's been evacuated.
Okay.
Okay. They're going to give you a combination nozzle on 3 hand lines.
Vas-y.
Go on.
C'est bon.
Are you ready?
Il envoie
The water's on.
Once filled with water, the fire hoses are tested. A 2-man team fitted with respirator masks goes to check out the tent.
Fire truck to emergency operations commander for contact.
Emergency operations commander.
Extinguishing in progress in tent.
Caméra
Thermal imaging camera on neighboring
sur
tents.
les tentes adjacentes.
Pauline uses a thermal imaging camera to check for sources of heat in the vicinity.
Have you located the site? Fire under control?
Yes.
Cause de
Fire truck to emergency operations commander. Fire under control.
It is a live drill this time. But this type of incident can occur at any moment. The firefighters have to be on alert 24/7. As fire crew leader, Pauline must be able to give a clear account of the situation.
It went pretty well. We conducted a live fire drill in a tent. The crew responded well. We got to the scene fast. There were no victims. It was awesome.
It's time for a well-earned rest. Back to base after 12 hours on duty, Pauline led her crew superbly. The next shift will secure the night flights. On Operation Barkhane, the action never stops. And for each mission to be a success, the troops must be able to count on those who maintain and repair the machines, the mechanics. It is 6 a.m. at the base in Gao. In these camouflaged hangars, the helicopter repair team starts the day with a briefing.
Right. Technical point, the Tiger. Continue on the machine, follow the manufacturer's repair guidelines. I'll pin them up in the break room. You'll be on a logistics mission. Tomorrow at 16:30 hours, you'll be taking the Chinooks to deliver food and gear to the Mountain Commando Group.
Lieutenant Anne-Marie heads up a team of 30 flight technicians.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay, that's it for me then.
The sun rises over the base. It's the start of a long day. Precision repair work and emergency responses are Anne-Marie's missions. Today, like every day, she has to be everywhere at once. A Tiger attack helicopter is leaving the workshop this morning after a day of repairs. The team must maneuver the 3-ton monster extremely carefully. Mechanic Laetitia takes the controls. Nothing must touch its 13-meter main rotor. The technicians put their thumbs up to let Laetitia know she's on the right track. Mission accomplished. The helicopter has to be taken to a new zone now. The Tiger is an impressive helicopter. Its design renders it invisible as it approaches its target. And the all-composite fuselage means it is very light and highly maneuverable. Able to dive at 350 kilometers per hour and reverse at 70 kilometers per hour, it is a formidable machine. Anne-Marie oversees all repair requests at the base. Some 20 helicopters are deployed on Operation Barkhane.
Every morning, I see if there is any new info, if any machines have been damaged. Then I check in with the technicians in the workshops to see where they're at, if they've run into difficulties, if they need a part, or if they've identified other problems, because the problems aren't always visible. This is the chopper's hospital. They come in on stretchers, we fix them up, and they leave in perfect health. You could say I'm the hospital manager. They're attaching a device so that the engine can be lifted out safely. It'll take a few days to repair. Removing the engine is a tricky operation. It isn't at all straightforward, but the helicopter won't be grounded for long.
After several days of painstaking repairs, it is time to reinstall this Tiger's turboshaft engine. It's a tight fit. The task requires full concentration on everyone's part. There is no room for error here. Everyone moves carefully. Each step is checked, then signed off by a superior. Anne-Marie ensures her team has the requisite technical expertise and good chemistry too, as this is vital to the success of their task.
We work 7 days a week. We're on call 24 hours a day. Our workday depends on the tasks and repairs that need doing on the aircraft. It's my job to manage everyone's fatigue. If someone isn't working on an aircraft, they go rest so that they're in a better condition when they come back. The human factor is really important because a tired person on a machine won't be as accurate and meticulous as we want them to be. There's an atmosphere of mutual trust and honesty. Everyone owns up to their mistakes, and no one is criticized if they mess up. We ask them why they made the mistake so that everyone learns from their own mistakes and from each other's. There are different issues at stake. The first being the pilots. Obviously, once in the air, an aircraft can't pull over and fix a problem. So that's a massive responsibility. And then, as engineering officers, we're legally liable because we're the last link in the chain. So there's a huge amount at stake.
Another strategic helicopter for Operation Barkhane is the Gazelle. Designed in the 1960s, it has been deployed in many conflicts: Chad, the Gulf War, and Afghanistan. The Gazelles require a lot of maintenance, and as always, once repaired, each helicopter undergoes a thorough inspection before being put back in service.
Those guys are known as pistards, mechanics who service the helicopters on the runway. They're going to carry out a post-flight inspection and make sure that there are no problems with the helicopter.
This Gazelle undergoes its last engine check under Anne-Marie's watchful eye. No sorties for the time being. The pilot and technicians must carry out a long list of technical and visual checks first. On operations, there is no respite for our crew. Barkhane Operations Center has just assigned a new task. A Gazelle in urgent need of repair has just landed at the base in Manaka. Anne-Marie's team must act fast to enable the helicopter to continue its mission without delay. She heads there immediately with 3 members of her team. With weapons and body armor as well as technical equipment, these repairers are unlike any other. They'll be flying on this Merlin, a Royal Danish Air Force transport helicopter. It can accommodate up to 30-foot soldiers or 5 tons of freight.
We never know how long we'll be gone. That's why we're taking our kit bags with several days' worth of clothes. It will probably take 2 to 3 hours, half a day tops. But if a storm blows up, we won't be able to take off and we'll be stuck there. In the Tactical Desert Air Combat Group, we have the British with their Chinooks and the Danes with their Merlins, and, of course, our French helicopter, the NH-90, commonly known as the Cayman. One of the benefits of the close cooperation between our three nations is that we can pool our aircraft resources. There weren't any Caymans available, so we've opted for a Merlin, but it could have been a Chinook instead. It's ever so practical, and it gives us a real advantage in operational terms.
Equipped with their weapons and body armor, our extreme repairers board the Danish Merlin. The flight from Gao to Monaco will only take an hour, but it would take a convoy about 2 days to travel the same distance over land. Without an escort, the helicopter must ensure its own security. That is the role of the air gunner. The sharpshooter keeps a constant lookout for the enemy and opens fire in the event of a threat. Because the danger is very real. Despite a top speed of 300 kilometers per hour, the helicopter is a choice target. On board, the tension is tangible. In the forefront of everyone's mind is the tragedy of June 14, 2019, when a group of jihadists shot down an Operation Barkhane helicopter on the Mali-Niger border. In the fraction of a second, the helicopter approaches the ground close to Monaco camp. The gunner makes sure there are no objects that could endanger the landing. Anne-Marie and her team grab their repair gear and head to the truck that will take them to the broken-down Gazelle. Silent and focused, the team endures the stifling heat and the scorching tarpaulin. Every minute counts. The helicopter must not be grounded for long. In the blazing sun and the sweltering 37-degree heat, everyone knows what they have to do and gets on with it.
They're determined to identify the problem as quickly as possible. They're obsessed with a failure. So they're checking everything. They want to find it as fast as they can. And it's great to see just how determined they are.
The breakdown is due to an out-of-place rivet in the drive shaft. The solution seems straightforward. The rivet needs changing.
It should be this one, the Joe bolt rivet. That tiny thing? Yes.
This red line shows you...
Yeah.
It's a visual indicator that the rivet is shifted. It just needs changing.
But to remove a single bolt, the entire shaft has to be dismantled.
It's a physically demanding job, actually. They're used to spending long hours standing, contorting themselves, depending on what needs doing on the machine. So they're very adaptable.
The minutes tick by, and the temperature rises by a few degrees.
We can't fight this heat. We can't control it. And if we have to work all day in it, that's what we'll do. Because what counts is the mission. So if we have to work all night, we'll work all night. If we have to work in the blazing sun, we'll work in the blazing sun. We put up with the environment.
The drive shaft has been removed, but the bolt refuses to budge.
We don't have a sawhorse or a workbench, so we're using bottles instead. They do the trick.
After several attempts to unscrew the bolt, the team decides to drill into it to free it.
It's a fantastic challenge. But it's always the same. We plan, but we can't predict the unpredictable. So we make do, then sort things out when we get back to the base.
It's time to put back the drive shaft. Anne-Marie doesn't hesitate to pitch in.
Careful. Where were we? If you remember how you hit it. What did you do? And I pushed a... Damn. I need some pliers.
After 2 hours of arduous work in the oppressive heat, the Gazelle is ready for its pre-flight safety inspection. An alignment mark is painted on the new Joe bolt.
The fact is, the mechanics working on an aircraft are well aware that if they don't do a good job, the consequences could be extremely serious. And that's what takes the most time, checking that everything is perfect.
The pilot takes the inspector for a hover test. If helicopter accidents due to technical causes are rare, it's down to such thoroughness and precision. To keep a record of her team's work, Anne-Marie and her head mechanic write everything down in the aircraft's technical logbook. This helicopter can set off immediately on another mission. The repair job took 3 hours in all.
The hover test went well. The rivet stayed in place. Our job's done.
But there's an unexpected hitch. The Merlin has been deployed elsewhere. After a 2-hour wait, a French Cayman comes to pick them up. The landing is closer and faster than expected. The team has to run for cover behind the truck. Anne-Marie's smile says it all. The end of the mission is in sight. Up and away, they fly tactically back to Gao. The stress and heat of the day disappear into thin air. The hard work is behind them, and the beauty of the Malian landscape makes them momentarily forget the very real danger below.
It's a huge breath of fresh air and a thrilling experience. It's really the highlight of our mission. When we're called out on a repair mission, we're all raring to go. We want to see the scenery too, and we're super lucky to be able to enjoy it this way. So many great memories.
Thanks to their patience and tenacity, Julia and her team rose to the challenge. Without the Army Aviation Corps' pilots and engineers, no ground operation is possible. Reconnaissance, logistics, intelligence, supporting the troops in skirmishes with insurgents. They are on all fronts.
I'm kind of tired, but really super happy. I was thinking about how much I enjoy what I do, and that's the main thing. We're really happy to be doing this job. And that was an awesome end to the day.
The mechanic's assistance is crucial on the ground, because as well as the enemy's threat, Operation Barkhane's troops and their vehicles have to battle with the weather.